Hey guys, this is Allison from Allykatkreations. How are you? I had to catch up on my favorite Jason today. I had to drive my car around a whole bunch and got stuck in a lot of traffic. Fun. Not really. And hopefully tomorrow I can bring it down to the shop and everything will be okay. Praying. Praying. One can hope. So please like, please share, and please subscribe if you haven't done so already. I really appreciate it. I pump out a lot of info. It's a little on the slow side because of everything going on with having to go out in the real world. I don't like it. Anywho, I'm going to continue on with the key to the universe. Chapter 32, it's a continuation of number 8. Because it's good. Can't tell you that. But number 7 was so long that by the time I got to the Hebrew letter and the tarot card, I'm like, I can't do too much more. I have to put 8 in there. So let's continue with 8. Quote, "My heart, my mother, may there be no parting of thee from me in the presence of him that keepeth the balance." End quote. The Book of the Dead, Budge. The effective number 8 may be compared to that of a balance in which the soul must be weighed. This balance was an important symbol among the Egyptians. Quote, the vinaigrette of chapter 30 of the Book of the Dead represents the deceased sitting in one pan of the scales and being weighed against his heart, which is placed in the other, end quote. In another vignette, quote, we see the heart of the deceased in one pan of the balance and a feather emblematic of right and truth, what is straight in the other, end quote. In fact, it is its ancient form, number 8, the infinity sign, resembles balance. And number 7, man, 5, obtains his 2 higher faculties and sees himself not as a 5-fold personality, but as a 7-fold being made in the image of the 7 Elohim. But in number 8, he must see himself not even as a perfected personality, but one with the universe of being. Here, he must, of his own free will, throw into the scales all that he has obtained and put it to the test, just as the alchemist who, after long and laborious efforts, has obtained his gold, will first put it to the acid test to see if it is indeed gold, then cast it into the scales to be weighed, he can only say, quote, I have obtained, end quote. The very personality we have so laboriously perfected in number 7 must now be left behind. Our own power, our own judgment, our own self-reliance, our own guidance, all these are necessary that we may recognize and understand the greatness of the self we have perfected. Yet, having completed the cycle of limitations within that lower self, we must now lay it aside as we would lay the body aside in the grave and face our initiator. We can evolve into the upper circle of the 8, the higher self. But number 8 is more than a balance. It is a purifying flame of the divine breath, which sweeps around the soul to consume. It drosses, and only that which is pure gold can withstand it. Pythagoras called number 8 the First, evenly even number. For both sides of the balance must be made equal, or there must be a cubic stone, 4 on each side of the scale. In other words, in the number 8, we must find perfect balance. St. Paul tells us to prove all things, hold fast that which is good, which is but another way of saying weigh, measure, and test. But the student does not have to create his own tests. All he has to do is to strengthen his will, quicken his love, and be ready for all that comes. For life itself will bring the tests. We therefore warn all students who are seeking the balance which precedes initiation, not to be over-enthusiastic or rash in asking for tests. Do not demand that all your karma descend upon you all at once, even in one life. Just rest in the knowledge that the great law is divine love. Hence, the fires of purification will be no hotter than you can bear, provided you let the loving Christ walk with you in the fiery furnace and purification and testing. Many prolong this period of weighing and testing by the pride they take in being able to pass through it so bravely. Since pride and personality are the two things which most require purging from the soul, and since number 8 is the absolute justice of necessity, the fires must be made the hotter until these impurities are consumed. The crossing point in number 8 is the valley between two obtainments, the valley between the Mount of Crucifixion and the Mount of Ascension. The valley of the shadow of death, spoken by the psalmist. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, the dweller, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. It is only the rod of power and the power of the Christ and the staff of the first life that can carry the candidate safely through this deep experience. For those who are filled with spiritual pride, this is the valley of humiliation. For they can make this great transition, their pride in their spiritual superiority and righteousness must be humbled until they become as little children. This point of crossing is also the straight and narrow gate referred to by Jesus, up to which each soul is brought by evolution. Enter ye in at the straight gate, because straight is the gate and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and a few there be that find it. It is also the gate referred to as the needle's eye, through which it is so difficult for the man attached to this world's goods to pass. To enter this gate, we must make straight our path, must straighten out all the devious and winding paths of the old life, so that as we enter the high cycle of evolution, the lower circle of the 8 will be straightened out to form the upright stem of number 9. If we fail at this point, we enter the broad gate and go down and round the circle of life. Wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to the destruction, and many there be which go in thereat. If the circumscribing conditions of our old life are straightened out and we pass onward and upward, we can rest assured that we have passed the test of number 8. But if our life goes over and over the same old conditions without advancing us, repeating the same old mistakes, thinking the same old thoughts, we will know that we have been weighed and temporarily found wanting, hence have missed the narrow gate and must round the circle of the old conditions until we again find ourselves facing the dweller. If our own old problems do seem to fall from us, yet we seem to have lost interest in spiritual things, or seemingly switched off into worldly pleasure and excitements, we may know we are upon the broad path, that lower circle of the 8. The 8th letter, Heth. Quote, He pronounced Cheth predominant in sight, crowned it, combined it, and formed with it Cancer in the universe. Tammuz, July, in the year and the right hand of man. End quote. Sefer Yitzra'ah. The 8th Hebrew letter is Heth or Cheth. It is one of the simple letters and related to the zodiacal sign Cancer. This letter should not be confused with the letter He, which is somewhat similar in name and closely allied in occult significance. Its hieroglyphic meaning is a cultivated field in which a crop is brought forth. It thus suggests labor and effort, as well as the idea of increase and wealth. The field of endeavor may be one in which to cultivate and produce the fruits of peace and plenty, or a field of strife and battle. But in either case, it is the field in which the conqueror of the previous seventh letter must use his weapon, either as a sharp sword or an arrow, to gain the supremacy over the forces that would retard his further evolution, or as an implemented to cultivate the field that it may bring forth abundant crops. Only through victory he has beaten his sword into a plowshare and his spear into a pruning hook, sorry guys, can they be used to make the field bring forth her increase, to bless both the conqueror and all mankind. This field is a field of his own nature and consciousness. Hence the step indicated by the letter 8, the 8th letter. Sorry guys, there's stains on this book. Should bring to him the increase of evolution. This can be obtained only through efforts, battle, victory, and balance, and by seduliously These fell out 3 times today. Mind you, while I was driving, it was very fun. Again, dyslexia, bad teeth, and no lack of teeth. Cultivating the soil of his field, the conqueror must prove his power to balance the forces of good and evil, which are contending in his field, and come forth the victor. He must also demonstrate his power as an husbandman to make his field produce to its utmost. Generally, the conqueror has to fight with his sword until he has equilibrated the positive and negative forces. Then will he find his field enriched from the very struggle and bloodshed, which at first seemed only to devastate it. Thus, perfect justice is obtained for that from which we suffer most, and whose adjustment and fulfillment our rebellion and struggles delay. When once we have truly learned our lesson, the law of justice and compensation yields as a harvest, which is all the richer because of the struggles that have drenched our field with the blood of our heart. As with individual, so it with the world, there must come an error, even as prophesied by Isaiah, when he shall judge among the people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nations shall not lift swords against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. This is the inevitable result of evolution. First, one here and there grasp the idea that war is unnecessary. Then gradually a mighty current of thought force embodying that idea sweeps around the world, and appealing to and fostered by women is impressed upon the consciousness of the unborn children, which will make up the future humanity. Again, since we find the letter in the Sefer Yetzirah expressing the underlying force of the sign Cancer, Cancer being the great mother sign and governing the breasts from which are all nourished, we must expect to find a similar meaning in Heth. And this we do, for it is both the productive, nourishing mother force, which is one of the main factors in evolution, and also the masculine force, which accomplishes by the use of the hand. Also, July is the month of increase, when the fruits are ripe and ready for the harvest. O sing unto the Lord law, a new song, for he hath done marvelous things. His right hand and his holy arm hath gotten him the victory. This is the field in which humanity must bring forth victory for the individual, the race, and for the planet, through the perfecting the fruits of equilibrium in Mother Earth, until whose ample bosom all her children shall find enough, not only to sustain life, but to balance all economic problems. And through the balancing of supply and demand, they shall take the next economic step in the evolution of the race. Just that which is impressed upon the unborn child and what they draw in from their mother's breast will the race express. Just so many humanity imbibed from the breast of the great mother and the forces of the sign Cancer, which shall give them the power to bring forth the higher ideals in the field of their evolution. Only as we turn to the great mother like tired children, we will find substance and to spare. It is therefore not at all remarkable that the 8th letter should stand for a field and be connected with the material sign Cancer, for we have seen that number 8 is the step at which humanity must find its balance, and where the conqueror of number 7 must turn his weapon into an instrument with which to bring forth increase in the higher circle of 8. Instead of destruction in the lower circle. Truth be told, this is very interesting. This is very, 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 very interesting. Okay. So they claim that the Justice card is the number 8. But in the modern, it's showing the Strength card. So this is the 8th, but this is Justice. Strength isn't Justice. Justice isn't Strength in terms of it being 2 individual cards. So I'll show you both. But this is the 8th. This is 8. This is Strength. It says Justice, but it's Strength. We'll read on anyway. The 8th Tarot card, Justice, the old version. Thou canst create this day thy chances for thy morrow. In the great journey causes sown, each hour bear each its harvest for effects, for rigid justice rules the world. The voice of the silence, Blavatsky. The 8th card is called Justice, and it's represented by a woman seated on a throne between 2 columns of the temple, Jachin and Boaz. This card symbolizes the Great Mother through whose love, care, and perfection, justice alone can the children of men find equilibrium. Here we see her seated and at best between the positive and negative, giving her fostering love to both alike. She is the wisdom who sitteth in the gates. She wears an iron coronet, iron being the metal of the planet Mars. This symbolizes the only through the force of the planet balanced and enthroned can the equilibration of the sexes take place. This is not the force of Mars in its militant and destructive aspect, but it is energy, strength, and push. The force of iron, not fashioned into swords and guns, but into a coronet to crown the great mother, must be the urge back of evolution. But iron must undergo a very drastic experience, or it can be put to its highest uses. It must be melted in the hot fires of the blast furnace, the fires of karma, and be chilled by being plunged into earth conditions again and again and hammered by the great law. Or it can be wielded and transformed into steel and become fit to make the rails and the bridges over which the trains of commerce annihilate distance and wield people together through association and common interest. Just so much the force of Mars be transmuted and utilized to make a line of communication from heart to heart and join both men and women to the oneness of common interests. In one aspect, the force of Mars may be compared to the circulation of the blood governed by the breath. It is also the life force of the breath of evolution, for as the soul inbreathes, it draws in its inspiration and its ideals, while as it exhales, it manifests the inspiration and ideals as speech and works. Hence, the great mother being crowned with the force of Mars shows that she has gained the victory and is balanced and poised, ready to lead her children into a new day of manifestation. She holds in her right hand a sword with its point upward, again a sign of victory. This is again the sword of the spirit that ever cleaves asunder the false from the true. In her left hand she holds a balance. This again is the balance of number 8, in which each soul must be weighed, or it can receive its initiation. The 8th commandment, thou shalt not steal. Exodus. As 8 is a number of evolution, while allowing the erotic meaning to stand in its literal sense, to understand the Stoic meaning of this commandment, we must consider the relation which stealing bears to evolution. Esoterically, this commandment means that the personality shall not steal from the higher self, must not be allowed to steal the scepter on and usurp the place of the higher self as the ruler of life. It means the physical conditions and circumstances must not be allowed to steal from the personality its opportunities for meditation, realization, unfoldment, its opportunities for expression and manifestation of the higher self in this life. For to do so, it is sap and weaken the very source of all evolution, the pressure of the inner or ideal state for outward expression modified by the limitations imposed by the environment. Nor must these same opportunities be stolen from others who are seeking expression through personality. Evolution is retarded until humanity as a whole awakens to the importance of the fact that every soul must have freedom of opportunity to find its own place, perfect itself in its work, and follow out the inner guidance of its Father in heaven. The great law, as karma gives to every soul the portion of goods belonging to it, and sends the soul forth into his far country of earth life to see what use will be made of its inheritance. Each soul is a cell in the grand man, an atom in the soul of the universe, and has its own place in the grand plan. The goods which are given to the soul are the faculties, powers, knowledge, and wisdom gained through past experience, expressed in this life as inherent faculties, powers, and abilities, together with the as yet undeveloped possibilities which the experiences of this life are intended to unfold and perfect. Only by the unfoldment and perfection through evolution can the soul be fitted to take its true place in the grand plan, a place which no other soul can fill, and which must remain empty or be imperfectly filled until that individual soul has consciously correlated with and become an unobstructed channel for the manifestation of the one life. That's everything there. Is spot effing on. Holy shit. When the human law puts a man in jail for stealing money or perhaps a loaf of bread, if it deprives him money or perhaps a loaf of bread, if it deprives him of his freedom and his opportunities without due consideration of the motives, circumstances, and causes of his act, it is not administering or correlating with the law of exact justice, for it is stealing from him far more than he stole from society, and is retarding and often pushing back evolution. If we punish without justice and mercy, coerce, dominer, or in any way steal away the rights and freedom of others, we steal from them their sole opportunities. And the great law will imprison us individually and collectively in the prison of limited and unhappy conditions and at hard labor until we see our error and learn to help our less fortunate brothers and sisters through the exercise of tolerance, love, and compassion, which are all a part of real justice. All these together with such other help as we can give toward its highest unfoldment is due every soul from every other soul. If we withhold these, we are stealing from the other force, which are rightfully his, and we must remain in bondage to selfishness just that much longer. To steal mere physical things is punishable by physical karma. That is, we must suffer either in this or another life from condition that will open our eyes and bring us to the realization that it is both inherently wrong and causes suffering to take even the physical things that belong to another. Karma does not mean that if you steal a man's watch in this life, in the next life, he must steal a watch from you. If this were true, the soul quality whose lack prompt the stealing would never be developed. The spirit of stealing would never be developed, would never be perpetuated, and there would be no end to the vicious cycle. In the above case, karma would mean that you must pass through certain experiences, say the loss of things, your personality valued highly, which will develop in your recognition of the rights of others to the enjoyment of that which is rightfully theirs. The great law shuts up a soul who steals in the prison house of limited environment to labor under the oppression and physical conditions until the lacking soul quality is developed. Since all evolution tends to develop more and more perfect organisms through which greater and greater degrees of freedom from the bondage of external conditions can manifest, we can be truly free from the bonds of karma only as we work with evolution through the seeking of those things which are our own and sorry guys, this is all messed up. Our own and following those things which will perfect and thus hasten our evolution. This is not attained by selfishly trampling on the freedom or rights of others that we may advance, For to do so is to develop selfishness, but through harmonious cooperation for the good of all. Therefore, we see that nothing will so retard our own evolution as to steal from another that which has been given to him and not to us, be it a thing, a thought, an opportunity, or a life. For the great law of exact justice will keep us in bondage to physical limitations, in the prison house of flesh, in the treadmill of karma, incarnation after incarnation, until we have fulfilled every jot and tittle of the law we have broken and have repaid to humanity 1,000-fold that which we have stolen. I'm going to end it there because we reached number 9. Yay. I wanted to keep on the numbers. I hope 9 isn't number 7 where it's like so long. But yeah, number 8 was very interesting, very true. But again, it's talking about justice, but then number 8 is the strength card in the modern Rider-Waite deck. And most modern decks go by this is strength and justice. So maybe number 9. Strength. But I wanted to show both because even though it's talking about justice, strength is the 8th card. Then I have the other goodie cards. I think it's very telling. The lower part of the 8 and then the higher part of the 8 and how we're supposed to ascend and the karmic loop that keeps us stuck here. And we keep going and going and going. And a lot that's been spoken here is something I've been saying in a lot of my videos. It's true. We have to take care of humanity, guys. I'm telling you. So I hope you enjoyed. Number 8, we finished. Yay, number 8 was really short. Well, hopefully number 9 is just as short, or I could complete it in one sitting. But either way, I hope you enjoyed that. I sure did. Sorry about a lot of the breaking and fuzziness. It's a very old book and it's messed up in some spots, so I'm doing the best that I can. I have some other goodies I am going through to see what I can dig up for new books and some new material to interlace in between a lot of these other longer books. Because this one, Pistis Sophia, Urantia, and Awaspe are very long. I'm almost catching up with the Law of One. I'm going to revamp a few. You know, I'm not keeping the videos as what I did with them in the past. The densities I'm still working on, and that might take a while because I'm trying to collab, the Law of One, everything's all over the place and scattered. And some things are revisited and then revamped. So I have to go through like first density, second density, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So I'm slowly mulling through that and then trying to tackle on other things that I have covered in the past, but want to do better. Wanderer's Handbook, I'm almost done with that. I mean, not just redoing the videos. And then I'm almost all caught up. Thank goodness. I don't like to be behind. But it's all in divine timing. So I should be pumping out more videos by the weekend. I'm hoping that everything goes well tomorrow. I don't have to keep driving my car and like taking off and getting stuck in traffic and having a longer day than I wanted. Crossing my fingers, everything works out and I don't have this headache anymore. And I can like hone in and focus on everything. And eventually, I'm slowly having to clean out my house to sell more things so I can make bills, because I'm not getting any help. So if you have it within you to help me, anything helps, that's very appreciated. I still have to sell everything, but not the safest right now. I will see you all in the next one. Giving each and every one of you love and light. Please be safe out there. Things are coming to a head. Energies are going berserk. It is Mercury retrograde, so please be mindful, be careful. Take a step back before reacting to things, because the energies are crazy. And even if you're not somebody that like feels, or like, they do affect you. They affect everybody. It's just opening up your consciousness. So I will see you on the next one. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.